Hi everyone, it's Nishti here, specialist dietitian for children and parents, and in this video we're going to talk about the menstrual cycle. Let me get comfortable because this is very important. This video is dedicated to one of my clients who is on a journey of weight loss, and she really struggled mentally before her period this month. So I said to her, we need to talk about menstruation. We need to talk about what season you're in your cycle, because when you become aware of what season you're in, because really we women, we go through 4 seasons in 1 month: spring, summer, autumn, winter, in 1 month. So we need to be aware what season we're in, and in this video I'm going to explain all of that, because when you become aware, it will help you to understand why you feel the way you do, why you're feeling you've got all these self-limiting beliefs, and you probably want to give up on your goal, and you don't think anything matters, and you know how it can be so difficult before we get our period. And when you become aware of what season you're in, you can retrieve, you can pause, you can step back and watch your thoughts so they don't take you away to another place. Our thoughts do our thinking for us, and I really hope that we can learn to take control of our thoughts so we can do the thinking instead. So this video really is about food, mood, and our menstrual cycle. I also work with children and adults who have an eating disorder, and I have noticed that they already struggle mentally. Okay, they're already struggling mentally, and before they come on, they struggle even more. They may even, I've seen some children as well struggle with a lot more self-harm before they come on, and that's because the thoughts are even more chaotic before we have our period, especially if we have had a month of a lot of stress and poor eating, and I'll go through this. So this video will help you no matter what. Whether you're trying to lose weight, or whether you have an eating disorder, or whether you're a mother and you have a young girl that you want to educate on the menstrual cycle, this video is for you. So the average cycle is 28 days long. That is a lot of crap, isn't it? It depends on who we are, whether we have any conditions such as polycystic ovarian syndrome, whether we have endometriosis, whether we have fibroids. Every woman's cycle is different, but I'm just going to give you the sort of basic, standard saying, which is a menstrual cycle is about 28 days long. From day 1 to 14, we are in our follicular phase, and then from 14 to 28, we are in the luteal phase. Now, follicular phase, let's start there. Follicular phase, which is the first part of your cycle. We also call that, or not just I, but a lot of literature out there, we call that phase spring, summer. We feel great in that period of our cycle. We feel renewed. Think about spring, how the flowers blossom, trees turn green, the sky is blue, the sun is shining. That's how we feel in our mind as well, because we are in spring, and then we are in summer when we hit ovulation. We feel flirty, we feel sexy, we feel creative. We don't feel tired and sluggish and perhaps low mood. When do these symptoms come along? They come along in the luteal phase, which is the second part of your cycle. Autumn particularly, just before we get to menstruation. Think about autumn, how nature sheds its skin. That's the same thing that we do. We get tired, we get exhausted. We may even identify things that we don't want to do anymore. We may even get more boundaried in this phase. We don't feel as creative and as focused as we do in the follicular phase. So what phase are you in right now? Try and become aware of what phase you're in, and start to make a note of it. I don't know if you have a diary, but it really does help you, because if you're in the luteal phase, and you are, so the second part of your cycle, and you're really struggling mentally, and your thoughts are telling you that you're not good enough, and everything's a failure, and no one loves you, and all of these limiting beliefs, maybe you are in winter, maybe you're in autumn winter. Maybe it's a time for you to go, okay, I'm in winter, let me step back and pause and tune in. And maybe have a bit more self-care, because I'm feeling quite sensitive and I'm feeling overwhelmed and everyone is annoying me. Time to retreat. It's not time to go and socialize and do. It's time to be in the luteal phase, especially when we get closer, you get to menstruation. So do you see, if you're really struggling mentally, try and become aware of, because perhaps you're not struggling mentally every day, but if you're going through phases, become aware of where were you in your menstrual cycle when you struggle mentally, because it could well be that you were in autumn, winter, but you were not giving yourself permission to pause. You do not give yourself permission to that, because really, I don't blame you. We live in a world, we really do live in a man's world. You know, everything's, you know, even work. Are you allowed to take time off and retrieve and pause? No, you're expected to always deliver every day the same thing at your job. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't honor the woman's cycle. The Western world does not honor the woman's cycle. That's why we as individuals must honor our body. So when you're in autumn, winter, if you're having to work, which most of us have to do, maybe there are other things you can do to honor that time, just like nature, where everything's a little bit more still. Perhaps a bit more journaling, having a bath, saying no to social gatherings, saying yes to yourself, going to bed earlier. So there are things we can do for ourselves, because it is difficult in today's world. Even, you know, if you're on social media, you're expected to post every day. But when you are not feeling up for it, why do we have to always go against how we feel? No, we must honor our feelings, especially in that autumn winter period, because if not, it can spiral out of control. Your mental health, and before you get your menstruation, if you're really struggling, can spiral out of control. And that's why you want to pause and retrieve. So I hope that makes sense. Let me just turn to my notes here. So I've written down a few things here. So spring, summer, autumn, winter. Obviously, we've gone through that. Menstruation is peace and quiet and cozy. Ooh, I love to feel cozy when I'm menstruating. I do not want to talk to anyone, including my husband. You know, no, leave me alone. And we need to honor that feeling. And we need to say to our partners, sisters, family, whatever it is, you know, I don't feel like chatting. I'm in this phase and I just want to honor myself and I want to do this for myself. That's perfectly fine. And the more we do that, the more our children and our if we have girls, they will watch you and they will grow up also honoring their cycle. How powerful would that be? I wish I'd seen my mom do that. I had to learn that myself, really. Now, I just want to talk about food. There is actually research to show that the Mediterranean diet and limiting alcohol can really help limit or reduce PMS. So Mediterranean diet, lots of fruit, veggies, lean protein, and obviously limited alcohol. All these things, whole grains, all these things are important. Why? Because how you eat will affect your blood sugar, and ultimately it will also affect your menstruation. So I always tell people, if you had a really bad period, really heavy, look at the previous month. Did you have a lot of refined sugars in your diet? And remember, it's not just food that affects our menstrual cycle, it's also stress, but also lots of other conditions can affect our menstrual cycle, PCOS, endometriosis, fibroids. If people have been on the pill for years, it can cause estrogen dominance, which can then cause fibroids and endometriosis. And there's so many things that could also be the trigger for heavy periods and PMS. So what I'm telling you is really just the basic. Let's just get the basic right. Even if you do have polycystic ovarian syndrome and endometriosis, what I'm telling you is super important. So important, because it still relates to you. Now, Mediterranean diet and limiting alcohol has been shown to reduce PMS. And also, you must have heard about my 1-2-3 healthy eating approach. Now, this approach helps to stabilize your blood sugars, because you are not just eating one food group all the time, every day. The 1-2-3 healthy eating approach is balancing our food groups with carbs, protein and veg, with most of our meals to help stabilize our blood sugars. And when our bloods are stabilized, it also affects our mood and how we eat, and it will also affect your menstrual cycle. Because if you have fluctuating blood sugars, it affects how you eat and your cravings. And people that have blood sugars that spike a lot because they're eating very high GI foods, like for example Rice Krispies for breakfast, or cornflakes for breakfast, or Cocoa Pops for breakfast, or those people will have a very high spike in blood sugars, and then they will drop very quickly, and then they might just have that craving for something here and now, something high in sugar. Then they might have biscuits, and then you see it affects you. How your blood sugars are also affect how you eat. So that's why we need to really think about how we eat. And 1-2-3 is such a great way and simple way to help you manage healthier blood sugars and manage your cravings and manage your weight. And I teach the 1-2-3 to both children and adults, and to adults and children who both struggle with an eating disorder and who struggle with being overweight. I teach the 1-2-3 to all of my clients. And I have done videos about the 1-2-3. So please have a look on my channel for those. Now, so that's important, right? The Mediterranean diet and proper balanced meals, 1-2-3, will help you again to reduce the PMS that you may be feeling at the end of the month. And there is something else, but this is not evidence-based. Okay, so there's no research to back it up, but I myself think it's wonderful. And it's called seed cycling. So it helps to balance our hormones, apparently. It's not evidence-based, as I just said. Flax and pumpkin seeds from day 1 to 14, and sunflower and sesame seeds from day 14 to 28. So I don't practice this myself, but I do, because I'm not like, I don't just eat flax seeds in the first part of my cycle. I eat seeds all through my cycle, and it depends on how I feel and what I want. But seeds are so nutritious. So the reason why I love seed cycling is because seeds have so many benefits. They contain tremendous amount of nutrients and also protein, and it just, you can't go wrong with it. So I myself include a lot of flax seeds, and especially sesame seeds in the form of tahini in my diet, also healthy fats, right? So there is a lot of there's a lot of information on the internet about seed cycling. So it's worth you looking into it, because it's really, it's nothing harmful, which is why I'm mentioning it, although it's not evidence-based. But I think it's a beautiful way to eat, is to include a lot of seeds in your diet. And also the way you exercise. Now, I have become better at that, because when we are in the luteal phase, the second part of our cycle, we feel more tired. We feel more fatigued. It's not the time to do a pump class. I used to do that back in the day. But now it's like, okay, I'm not feeling up for it. So what else can I do that still gets me moving, because movement is healthy, but it's not like I'm going against my body. I'm working with my body. And what you can do when you are in that second part would be things like yoga, or Pilates, or walking. Whereas when you are in your spring-summer phase, the follicular phase and ovulation, you feel focused, you feel energetic, you feel powerful. The first phase, cardio, is brilliant. And then ovulation, you feel strong. That's the time, because estrogen levels enhance. You feel like, I can really pump some iron here. And that is really a reflection of your hormones and how you feel. So try and pay attention to your body when it comes to exercise as well. Because if you exercise the same way throughout your cycle, that can cause unnecessary stress on your body. So pay attention to that as well. And that's all I wanted to say, really. Now, there is a wonderful book called Woman Code, I think, Flow Living, by Alita, I think, something like that. Look up Flow Living, FLO, or Woman Code, and you can see there is a lady who talks about the menstrual cycle and how to have a healthier menstrual cycle. So if you're interested in that, I would highly recommend that. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. I'm not covering obviously everything in this video, but if you have anything that you want to ask, please comment below and I'll be happy to answer those questions. So I hope this video was helpful. Honor the season you are in. Honor your season and listen to your body. Pay attention to where you're at and act accordingly. And eat 1, 2, 3. Eat a healthy diet throughout your cycle. That will benefit you for that whole month, month after month. I hope you have a lovely day and I'll see you in the next video.